Finally, another good Spider-Man movie. I hope you guys are all having a great 4th of July, and let's get on with our amazing Spider-Man review. Do I really have to give a synopsis of the Spider-Man franchise? I suppose the only thing I have to say is that it's a reboot, so this is a reboot of the original Sam Raimi films, with Andrew Garfield taking over from Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. This time, however, he's not fighting the Goblin or Dr. Octopus or the Sandman. I don't count Venom because Venom wasn't in that movie that long. However, he is fighting the Lizard. The one villain we wanted for a long time, and he's finally here. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, The Amazing Spider-Man is closer to the comic than the original movies. He's in a relationship with Gwen Stacy. Norman Osborn isn't a villain yet. In fact, maybe a little bit of a spoiler, I think this whole movie is leading up to the Green Goblin coming in. And anyone who doesn't know what happens to Gwen Stacy, end of the Silver Age of comics. That'll give you a good hint. So what worked in The Amazing Spider-Man? Actually, a lot. The story is handled very well. It's paced very good. You know, it's 2 hours and 16 minutes long, so you'd think it would get long after a while. But it really doesn't. The characters are so interesting and engaging that it actually comes by very quickly. If you remember from my Avengers review, I think that's what it was, I stated that all superhero movies are character studies, and I really do think The Amazing Spider-Man follows in on that. The transition between Peter Parker and Spider-Man is very realistic. At first he really doesn't become a hero, he just kind of uses his power to make fun of people and become almost a bully for a little bit. But then his uncle dies. I don't think I'm spoiling anything for anyone. And he doesn't become a superhero. Rather, he goes out and becomes a vigilante. He goes out fighting people, heading out into the streets to try to catch the man who killed his uncle. And he doesn't actually find him. That's kind of an interesting idea in and of itself. Possibly allowing for a more natural villain maybe later on. Another supervillain. Another great thing is the characters. The actors portraying them are very good. Martin Sheen playing Uncle Ben is really well. He's a great actor and he plays the role spectacularly well. The one thing I have to say about all the actors, every single one, is that they are playing the characters. When I look on the screen, I don't see actors playing these characters. Rather, I see the characters themselves, with particularly high marks for Peter Parker and Dr. Connors. The Lizard in this movie is so well handled in my opinion. I think for some reviewers that's their low point, but for me it works really well. Of course, I just finished reviewing the Twilight movie, so maybe I'm just grasping for anything that's good. But overall, the characters are great. Captain Stacy is an extremely interesting, you really get his perspective. He handles himself very well, and he comes off as a very natural. He comes off as the J. Jonah Jameson for this franchise. Also, if J. Jonah Jameson is going to be in the sequel to this movie, and they've already announced it, he better be played by J.K. Simmons. In my opinion, J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. The soundtrack is done by James Horner, so it's naturally spectacular. James Horner is probably responsible for all of my favorite movie soundtracks. The thing I have to say about this franchise is that it feels very natural. The director knows his source material and is going to stick. This is probably the most accurate representation of the Spider-Man comics. And I don't think to its detriment. Usually when a movie goes too close to an adaptation, it hurts it. But actually, it paces itself so well that it's very, very loyal. Are there any problems with the series? Well, if you had to twist my arm, I would probably say the whole Norman Osborn thing is handled kind of rough. Also, is it just me, Or when anyone ever goes to a Marvel movie, does anyone actually stand up and leave when credits roll? I see so many people doing it, and I keep on thinking, dudes, it's a Marvel movie. Of course there's something at the end. Of course there is one thing I didn't like, and that's that Peter's parents are said to be working for Oscorp. But in the comics, they worked for the CIA and S.H.I.E.L.D. I think maybe because the Avengers franchise is owned by a different production company, that they couldn't include S.H.I.E.L.D., which is upsetting because I really want to see Spider-Man in an Avengers movie, and they could have hinted to it at least. But I do think that Peter's parents are going to play a very, very integral role in this new Spider-Man franchise. I wait anxiously for the next Spider-Man movie, and now there's only one superhero movie that's really on my list to watch. The Dark Knight Rises. Right now, I've got some unfinished business to attend to. So I hope you guys all enjoy your 4th of July weekend, and I will see you guys next time on Cinema in Review. Alright, your time has come.